Hey everyone, welcome to Dogland Live. Anthony Joki here alongside Jackson McCurry. Tonight we officially have the Cleveland Browns 2025 schedule, and we are going to release or talk about it here. The Browns just released it. So Jack, man, first off, how are we doing? You excited to take a look at the schedule and see what we got going on this year?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Went through a migraine last night, but I'm feeling much better. But yeah, I mean, we knew who the Browns were going to play, but now it's nice to see like when they're going to play these teams and see how the schedule might shake out for us as we head into the 2025 game or 2025
Yeah,
season. I mean,
yeah, we have the whole picture now. And let's just jump right into this because I'm sure we have quite a bit to discuss with the schedule release, and anybody hopping in watching us, feel free to comment. We'll talk about it as well. But looking at the schedule here, the Browns will kick off the 2025 season at home against the Cincinnati Bengals, which this is what, 2 years in a row now. I think they've done the Bengals at home to start, or was it 2 years ago
um,
they started with the
it was
Bengals at
2 years
home? I
ago.
think it was 2 years
Yeah,
ago. Yeah, that was the a real rainy game, and like there was just a cloud over the stadium all day. Like you could see the sun out this way, the sun out that way, but it just hung over the game, and the Browns and Myles Garrett really gave Joe Burrow a hard time and won their first season home opener in many years that day. So, um, but we will have the Bengals return to us here, um, week one, and Andy hopped in right away, giving us a 3-14, which we'll probably bust into some of our predictions here, for the schedule a little bit later on. But what are your thoughts about having the Bengals at home week one?
I think it's a good test right out the bat. Right off the bat. I mean, they're obviously going through some troubles right now. The Hendrickson stuff really blew up the last couple days. So obviously, like we know what their offense brings. They've added some pieces on defense, but it's a good opponent right off the bat for us. Just to see like our defense is back, almost fully healthy. Obviously, we're without JOK, but to see whether it's Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, whoever the starting quarterback is going up against a divisional opponent to start off the season, I think it's only appropriate that it's in the Battle of Ohio.
Yeah, we'll talk about the starting quarterback later on because I wanted to touch on that and ask you about that too. But going through these first three games here, um, Cincinnati at Baltimore and then home against Green Bay to kick off the season. Certainly not an easy task. Playoff teams from last year, and to have these three games to start your season, is pretty darn tough.
Yeah, I mean, just back-to-back divisional opponents to start off the season, not a very good assignment for us, but I mean, we've known this since 99. These are our divisional opponents, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Steelers, which obviously we play later on in the season. I mean, this is who we got to go up against if we want to be great. And going up against the Bengals and then going up against the Ravens in back-to-back weeks to start off the season, it's this is what I think the Browns want. If they want to prove that they're taking steps in the right direction, if you can go in and knock off some divisional opponents right off the bat, you can make a quick statement early on.
For sure. The next three here: Detroit, at Detroit, uh, in London against Minnesota, and this whole time, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Friends, but there's the one episode where Joey shouts in London. I'm just gonna think about that the whole time. That week that we play the Vikings out there, and then home against Pittsburgh, which Minnesota actually plays back-to-back weeks in London. We're the second game that they play. The first week they play Pittsburgh, then they play us, and then we have Pittsburgh the week after that. So Detroit, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, more tough teams, playoff teams from last season. I did see. I think we have the second hardest schedule, second or third hardest schedule of the year based on winning percentage from last year. So, thing is not going to let up at all. So Detroit, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, weeks 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC North, you can make a case all 4 teams are going to be good this year. Minnesota's the wild card, obviously, just because we don't know what JJ McCarthy is going to be. Obviously, you know, there's been some rumors still hanging around with Aaron Rodgers, maybe even a Kirk Cousins reunion. But, you know, Detroit, we know how tough they are. They're going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. We're going to London again. And the last time we went to London, Anthony, we played Minnesota in the dreaded 0-16 season back in 2017. So we get Minnesota, and it'd have been nice to have the bye week after traveling overseas, but unfortunately we don't get that. And then we have to come home, suffer through some jet lag, and then you have to get gear right up for a divisional matchup against Pittsburgh. So it's going to be tough. You got to go to the road to play Pittsburgh. It's a place we haven't won minus the playoff game in a long time. But this is a really tough stretch for the Browns to open up the 2025 season. That's for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, and you know, you could these next 2 teams too. Like before the bye week, Miami at New England. You know, Miami was a playoff team a couple years ago, and then you know New England, you know, had a promising rookie quarterback last year, and they have a new head coach in Mike Vrabel who spent a lot of time with the Browns last year and will, you know some of the ins and outs of our team as well. So, you know, it's certainly not going to be an easy task, you know, those 2 games as well before we hit up the bye week in week 9, which is like exactly in the middle of the schedule.
Yeah, it's absolutely right in the middle of the schedule, but like Miami, you would expect they're going to be tough. They're going to hopefully be healthy, especially with Tua, because I think Miami has the pieces to be a dark horse in the AFC. It all kind of rides on Tua's health, but they have good running backs, obviously Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Their defense definitely has some question marks, but that should be a fun matchup. And then New England, like you mentioned, like Drake May coming into here too. There's high expectations. Mike Vrabel, the new head coach there, obviously is familiar with our whole team basically because he was here last year as a consultant and / assistant coach at times. But yeah, this first half of the schedule, Anthony, is going to be so tough. And you know, Alex was in the comments and he already started fuss for Nuss and to the cellar for sellers. So I mean, yes, Anthony, we might be talking draft a lot early on in the season, the way the first half of the schedule goes, but who knows? This is why the games have to be played. We'll speculate it for the next 4 months or so until the opener, but yeah, it is going to be a tough road that first half of the season for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about it because we seen the schedule maybe about an hour or so ago, and we were talking about a little bit before we got on here, and like 2 wins before the bye week might be best case scenario. Like it is not going to be easy, especially with all these teams that were playoff teams a year ago. You know, the Bengals, you know, even though weren't there, like they're still a very tough team with Joe Burrow. So it's certainly not going to be an easy task through these first 8 games in the first half of the season. And starting out the second half, you know, we go on the road to New York to play the Jets. Then a divisional game at home at 4:25 against the Ravens, at Las Vegas. So, you know, certainly who have a new quarterback in Geno Smith. So, I mean, you know, more tough matchups. You know, it seems like we're really competitive in the home division game, so it gives me hope against, you know, home against the Bengals, Baltimore, or Pittsburgh. Like, yeah, I still not sure like how we won 2 of those games last year, you know, against Baltimore and Pittsburgh at home. I'll take it, you know, but you know, it's certainly not going to be an easy task with the Jets, Baltimore, and Las Vegas after the bye week.
No, I mean it just keeps getting tougher. Like the Jets defense is mega talented. With Quinn and Williams, Sauce Gardner, the rest of the guys on that defense. Obviously, Justin Fields is at quarterback. So I mean, you don't know what's going to happen there with him, obviously, but you know, you kind of hope that he can resurrect his career there in New York. And then another divisional matchup with Baltimore, like you said. That's going to be tough. Then traveling to Vegas the week of Thanksgiving, right before the holiday, to play the Raiders, like you said. Ashton Genty, I think, is a name to watch there. Obviously with Geno Smith as well, and Pete Carroll, the head coach. So it doesn't get any easier. Like, yes, every week in the NFL is hard, but the schedule's going to be tough. And I mean, the Jets, there's a potential to win there. I think the Raiders, you never know, but traveling out there it's going to be difficult for sure. We saw that last year when we went out to Vegas. So, and especially coming off a divisional matchup against Baltimore. So, yeah, I mean, the schedule is not going to be easy, but like we said, the games have to be played. There's always a surprise Browns win or two during each season. So, we'll see how it all shakes out. But it's like you said, the schedule does not get any easier for us after the bye week.
I guess the positive for us, we have the second half of the schedule is loaded with home games. So I mean, we have Baltimore home, we go on the road to Vegas, then we have San Francisco at home, Tennessee at home, with the number one overall pick, Cam Ward. Who knows? Could be Cam Ward versus Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders that week. And then we go on the road to Chicago, which I think that might be the game I try to shoot for to go to an away game this year. I've never been to a Browns away game.
They're fun.
I can head to
I'll
Chicago. I think that could be a fun one to go to. But and then finishing up with Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. So 3 very tough games those last 3 weeks of the season. But as we talked about, 4 of the last 6 at home to close out the season this year.
Yeah, that's one definitely good thing is that, towards the end of the season, we're going to be home a lot. I don't know if we'll be playing for anything meaningful, but hopefully the crowd will still come. The dog pound will still be out there and, helping the team out. Tennessee, I think, is the game I have circled. It was Cincinnati, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that early in the season because I'm going on the road for the Denver game potentially. So seeing Cam Ward versus, like you said, Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders late in the season with maybe draft pick implications there could also make it somewhat exciting. And then you get Buffalo. That's going to be because they're going to be still playing potentially for like the top seed in the AFC. You get Pittsburgh right after Christmas, so that should be a fun one. And then wrapping up the season on the road against Cincinnati. Who knows? Cincinnati could be playing Jake Browning by then, and we could be playing, like you said, Gabriel or Shador. So that could be an entertaining game as well. So yeah, it's a interesting little stretch there post Thanksgiving towards the end of the season, but there's a lot of entertaining games here, like San Francisco. The last time they were here, there was the fight pregame. There was the missed kick. I think that was the PJ Walker game that we won on a Jake Moody missed kick. So that they're always an entertaining game for sure with the 49ers. But yeah, this is going to be tough.
All right, let's ask the big question here. Week 1, home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Who is going to be the starting quarterback?
Well, we talked about it last week on our YouTube video, which anybody who hasn't seen it, go back and watch it. It was the QB room. Anybody that wants to leave a comment who they think the starting quarterback is going to be week 1, but I said it last week. I think it's going to be Joe Flacco to start the season. And then who knows, depending on how the season starts, we might see Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders about, maybe post London game. I don't think they would start him anytime before that, barring any injuries or anything. But yeah, I would say Joe Flacco is going to be the starter to open up the regular season.
I'm still of the mind that it's going to be Pickett. I just have that feeling. It's not a great feeling, but I just have it in my mind that to start the season, it's going to be Kenny Pickett. If, we struggle early on, which the schedule is certainly, there could be the possibility for that. Where would you think one of these rookie quarterbacks could maybe squeeze in here, or maybe even switching from Flacco to Pickett to Flacco, etc.? Like, where would you think that switch could take place if, the Browns get off to a rough start this season?
I would say after the London game, and I know that's going to be Pittsburgh, or no, is it? Yeah, it's Pittsburgh after the London game, and it's at Pittsburgh, so that's going to be a tough environment. So maybe week 7 versus Miami, because then you get Miami and New England, then you get into the bye week. But I think the hope is probably for Stefanski and the coaching staff that they don't see the rookie until at least after New England, because then you have 2 weeks to get them ready for the New York Jets, which that's also a tough environment. So it's tough to say, but I would say at the earliest, week 7 versus Miami, we would see the rookies, barring any injuries. Because I think it'll be Flacco or Pickett, and one of those guys gets traded maybe during the preseason, and then you're just waiting then at that point to see when the rookie ultimately makes his debut.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see like how these rookie quarterbacks are going to fit into the conversation for this year, especially like if they think, and they've kind of talked about it being a multi-year process here. Like, where do we think, their urgency is to get these guys on the field in order to, see what they have in them?
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen some reports this week. I think it was Dan Orlovsky was on Pat McAfee yesterday or Monday, and he was like, "You got to see the rookies early." And I agree with him to that point, just because of how good this 2026 quarterback class is supposed to be right now on paper, and you want to see the rookies early to see what they have, either Gabriel or Sanders. And then if they don't show any signs of progress and the team doesn't show any signs of progress around them, then you have not only your first round pick, but also Jacksonville's first round pick, to where you can see if neither one of them shows any potential, then you have those options to go draft another quarterback next year, because like Gabriel and Sanders, where they were drafted, does not guarantee them past 2025, honestly.
Yeah, like, if this whole thing gets off to a rough start, who knows what's going to happen here. We don't want that to happen, obviously, but we've seen plenty of crazy things happen here in the past. So I mean, it's certainly not going to be an easy thing here. Do we want to get into maybe our predictions schedule wise? We've always done the schedule game. Do you want to attempt to go through this here and see what we have, and maybe pick out how many wins we're going to have this year?
Why not? We've done it every other time. Like, we can do our way too early version of the schedule game, and then we'll go back. We'll do it again later on before the regular season opens up, obviously.
All right, so we'll have to bookmark this video, and then later on we will watch it back to see how terribly wrong we were. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good to me, brother.
All right, so week 1, Cincinnati. What do you got?
I am actually gonna go win, because if history tells us, Anthony, anything, Cincinnati is always a slow starter. And obviously they got drama swirling around that organization right now with the Trey Hendrickson situation. Their first round pick is sitting out of anything right now until he signs a contract. And they're just off to a slow start constantly. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Browns are going to win week 1. And then we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
It's hate when you steal my thunder. Like, I'm going with the win too. Like, I will always have confidence in Stefanski against divisional opponents. So especially at home. So I will give them a win to start off the year. All right, week 2 at Baltimore.
Loss. Like, I'm gonna be real about it. Like, you got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, that defense. It's just gonna be tough. I just don't see it this early on for the Browns to rack up wins. So I'm gonna give them a loss, honestly, to the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. So 1-1 for both of us for the first couple weeks. Home against Green Bay in week 3.
Another loss. I'm gonna be real about it. The Packers are the better team on paper right now, and I would just go ahead and say that they're gonna beat the Browns.
Yeah, I'm there too. Like, Jordan Love is so good. Their offense got better this offseason. So I'm picking Green Bay in this one. So both of us have 1 and 2, and I have a feeling we're both going to be 1 and 3 after this next one. What do you think about Detroit?
It's another loss. I hate to say it as a Browns fan, but Detroit is so good. And, they're probably going to be my Super Bowl pick as things stand right now in early May. But yeah, it's another loss.
Yeah, this game is not going to be easy for me to watch. I mean, I guess I could kind of win either way, with the result of the game. But yeah, I'm going to go Browns lose week 4 against Detroit. All right, traveling across the pond to face the Minnesota Vikings. Do we win in London?
I am going to say, because we don't know how good JJ McCarthy is, and obviously by week 5, we should have a good sense of what he is through his first 4 weeks. But I'm going to say the Browns win this one. We go over to London. It makes our buddies Paul Brown and Jack Duffin happy, but we go across the pond and we pick up a W to move to 2 and 3.
My sister has already planned to go to the London game. So
Very
we'll
nice.
have some Browns luck out there, hopefully. Um, I I still think, with McCarthy not being 100% sure, like they still have a very good offense. They have all those weapons coming back that Sam Darnold had so much success with last year. That I'm going to take Minnesota here. So I have us at 1 and 4. Excuse me. You have them at 2 and 3 at the moment, coming back to head to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers.
We haven't won a game there with a full crowd since 2003, and it's the Pittsburgh defense, the way that crowd is always is at that stadium. The Steelers are going to win, and I hate to say it.
I have a question for you. Who is going to be the starting quarterback for the Steelers in that game? Is it going to be Mason Rudolph? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Will Howard? Who's going to be the starter?
It could be Kirk Cousins too. But I mean, I would tend to think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. So if it's not Aaron Rodgers, I might pick the Browns to win.
Like, are we going to get another game with Mason Rudolph against Myles Garrett? Like, is that something that's going to happen again?
Oh, that'll be interesting. A lot of storylines for that one, but yeah, I'd take the Steelers. So, anyways,
yeah, I'm thinking Pittsburgh too. All right, so 1 and 5 for me, 2 and 4 for you. Coming home to Miami, the Dolphins coming into town. Obviously, they have a lot of weapons along with Tua. How do we feel against our chances here against Miami?
Well, it's October usually gets colder here. I don't know. I don't think Miami plays too well in the cold. I think it'll be a close game. Obviously, well, they did beat us this past year in the cold with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. So, yeah. If we're looking at it just like based on the quarterbacks, Tua is obviously better than anything we have at quarterback as of right now. Who knows how the rookies might pan out or anything, but this could be the game where, Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel makes their NFL debut. So I'll say Miami wins it in a close one.
I'm going to give us a win here against Miami.
Okay.
I think that, we tend to play better at home. Obviously, it's only our second or our third home game at this point. Not counting the Minnesota game, but I think that, we'll win this one against Miami. So I got them. I think we both have them at 2 and 4,
2 and 5.
2 and 5. At the same point with heading on the road to New England before the bye week.
Probably another loss, just because Vrabel's revamped that defense with a lot of free agent signings and some draft picks. And obviously, like, I was a big Drake May fan of him coming out of North Carolina. I expect him to take a leap forward in 2025. So under Josh McDaniels. So give me the Patriots in that one to move us to 2 and 6.
Along with TreVeyon Henderson in the backfield as well.
Correct.
So that's offense is not going to be easy to go against. And, they're kind of going old school defense, run the ball, and we'll see what Drake May is able to do. But yeah, I got New England in this one as well, unfortunately. So 2-6 before the bye week, which not sitting pretty, for the Browns in that situation. But going on the road at New York against the Jets.
Probably this is tough just because like the Jets have some weapons on offense, but you just don't know what Justin Fields is going to bring if they stick to the game plan that Pittsburgh had at the beginning of last season. And he went what 4 now as the starter before, or like 4-1 as a starter before they switched to Russell Wilson. So Fields definitely has the tools to take a step forward. They have the weapons there, and that Jets defense is pretty damn good. So I'll take the Jets, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is tough. Like you said, the defense is really, really good. We don't know the starter at that point if it's going to be one of the rookies, but there's I would say a road game that we win every year that we're probably not supposed to. So I'm going to go Browns in this one against the Jets. I just feel like the Jets are a team that is just constantly in limbo. Like they're either going to be, 10-7, or they're going to be 7-10. You can like flip a coin whether they're going to be good, whether they're not going to be good. So I will give us a win on the road against the Jets. Coming home against Baltimore the week after that, and I guess you would say one of the primetime slots on CBS, maybe our second primetime game if you would count it, that as opposed to the London game as well. Home against Baltimore. What do you think?
Another loss. Like Baltimore will probably be like cruising at this point of the season, probably one of the best teams in the AFC. Yeah, it's gonna be another loss, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I gave us the home division win earlier against the Bengals. I don't think we get this one at this point. So I have us at 3, or no, I have 3 wins.
Yeah,
We should keep a little bit more track of this. I got the the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Jets. All right, so I got 3 wins, and I think you have the same as well. So
no, I'm still at 2.
You still at 2? All right.
Yeah.
So traveling to Vegas.
It didn't work out for us well last year, and I just think like Ashton Jeanty, if I had to pick, was probably gonna be my rookie of the year offensively. So I'm probably gonna say he's gonna have a pretty good game against our defense, sadly, and we unfortunately come away with another loss. Because I definitely think the Raiders are gonna improve under Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, obviously having Geno setting up that reunion there, with Carroll and Geno, and getting back to what, made the Seahawks pretty good when Pete Carroll was there. They were able to run the football with Marshawn Lynch. Maybe if they get into some short yard situations, they'll run the ball. But, I think they're going to try to replicate some of that there in Vegas, with good defense. You got Max Crosby, got a nice contract extension this offseason before Miles did. So, I mean, they have some pieces there. Definitely not going to be easy. So I will give, the Browns a loss in this as well. All right, coming home against San Francisco.
This is going to be the game I think that everybody will pick us to lose, and this is the game we'll win. And so I'm going to go. We're going to start off our post-Thanksgiving schedule with a W, and we're going to upset the 49ers, who definitely have a lot of question marks, I think, coming into this season. Like, they're not as deep, and there's definitely some question marks there on that roster. and like this could be the make or break year for Shanahan and Lynch out there in San Fran. So I'll give the Browns a W here.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't know what they're going to do with Brock Purdy, right? This is the last year
No
of his deal.
extension yet.
And yeah, there hasn't been any sort of contract extension yet for him. So very curious to see, what's going to happen there. But I'm with you there. I think the 49ers are going to win this one. So, or I'm sorry, you picked the 49ers. Or you picked the
No,
Browns.
I picked the Browns.
I'm
Yeah.
picking the 49ers. All
Okay.
right, so we both got. I'm keeping track of the records over here now, and I was looking at the wrong one. So, we both have them at 3-9 after 12 games. All right, Tennessee at home in December. Cam Ward coming up north in December. What do you think?
This is going to be a fun matchup, I think, because I definitely could see at this point in the season being Cam Ward versus whichever rookie quarterback they decide to go to, whether it's Gabriel or Sanders. Maybe we have seen both of them at this point. Ward versus Sanders, I think, would be much more fun because I was all the way up into the draft. That was QB1, QB2 by most of the draft pundits. So this would be a fun one. I'm going to give it to Tennessee. I definitely think they'll take a step forward with Cam Ward at quarterback. And I'll go ahead and give me the Titans in this one.
I'm going to take the Browns. I think, we'll be able to get after rookie quarterback. As long as he's still starting at that point, you never know with injuries or anything like that. But I think that at that point, I will give the Browns win against Tennessee. All right, headed to Chicago to face Caleb Williams. Very talented group of on offense there. Good defense. A new head coach and Ben Johnson. How do we feel against our chances against Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago is going to be one of the fun teams to watch for sure this year. Obviously, with Ben Johnson there, they added some more weapons. It, I hate to say it this late in the season because I love the Browns so much, but I just think at this point it's another loss. I definitely think the Bears are heading in the right direction. Ultimately, it'll come down to Caleb Williams, but I think Ben Johnson will try to get the most out of him. And unfortunately, on that day, I think it'll be the Bears over the Browns.
All right, I'm going to give us a very, very tiny winning streak. I'm going to say we're going to win 2 in a row. I'll give us Tennessee and going on the road to beat the Chicago Bears before we come home against Buffalo. All right.
I love the optimism.
Well, that's all we've been is optimistic over the last, how many years we've done this. Like, did the one year we both picked them to go like 12-5 or 13-4 or something like that? Like, we had our blinders on, right? We had our orange and brown colored glasses on, and just filled with the hype. I think that was the after.
I think it was after the playoff win.
Year. Yeah, after the playoff year, like we were like, all right, we're gonna win even more games this year, and it that was not the case. And then we traded Baker, and the rest has been history after that. So
I'm pretty sure I said we were going to the AFC title game that year, and that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, that definitely did not head there for sure. All right, at home against Buffalo in Week 16. What do you think?
Another loss. I hate to say it.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I'm gonna have my draft too. I'm gonna have my draft crushed by that point on December 21st. So
no, you're gonna have it during the bye week, week 9.
Well,
like
that's we're gonna probably true.
The amount of work that we're gonna have this year for the draft is going to be pretty great. So I think we'll have a pretty good idea of what we want to do around the bye week. But yeah, I think we'll have even more. Like that'll be after the conference championship games in college. So
no, because the bye week is still early November. So
no, I meant the Buffalo game. The Buffalo game.
Oh yeah.
After the conference championship games, right before the playoffs start.
Right.
If not around that same weekend, would be my guess. But
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, I got Buffalo too, and I know we're gonna have a lot of Bills fans at that game. We had a lot at the last one, which was Baker Mayfield game-winning touchdown to Hollywood Higgins in the final seconds, which was phenomenal.
One of
All
the
right.
few highlights of that season, unfortunately.
Yes, it was. All right, home against Pittsburgh in Week 17.
Yeah, this is post Christmas. Hopefully there's more Browns fans and Steelers fans that day. But yeah, I mean, you know what? I will give them a win here. We'll be at home. Maybe Aaron Rodgers has already been injured again and quietly goes into retirement. Probably not quietly because we know Aaron doesn't like to stay too quiet. But I'll give the Browns a win here. You know, a final home game of the season, and send Browns fans home happy.
You know, I appreciate the tweet we just got from Jake. Shout out. You know, we have high expectations according to him this year.
Yeah,
it's just a photo of SpongeBob laughing with a Browns hat on, which is great.
mega high
I wish
expectations this year, Jake.
I wish I could throw it up here, but I'm not able to at the moment. I was distracted by that. Did you pick the Browns against the Steelers here?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm with you there as well. I just feel like I don't know what it is, but it seems like Stefanski is able to beat Pittsburgh at home with any quarterback. So I will give the Browns a win here. Before we go on the road to face the Cincinnati Bengals to close out the season.
Okay, I am going to assume Week 18 means Cincinnati is going to be resting their guys. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Cleveland Browns will end the 2025 season on a 2-game winning streak. I think that'll put me at 5-12 or 5-12.
Yep.
Hopefully Jacksonville does us some favors and they ultimately have a higher pick than us, because if we win the last 2 games, that'll probably screw up our draft positioning. And it means I'm taking the over on the 4.5 win total as well. But as Kevin Stefanski says, I'm open to change my mind.
You reserve the right to change your mind.
Yes, thank you.
That's up there with like it's a process kind of a thing. I will pick the Bengals here on the road. You know, even if they're out of it, it seems like they will do what they can. They could be playing for seeding, etc. That last week. So I will pick the Bengals, and for me, that gets them at 6-11 this year. So 6-11 is my prediction. 5-12 is Jack's prediction, and we'll have to revisit this at some point, maybe halfway through the season. Maybe they're in a bye week, and see.
No, we'll revisit it. We'll revisit it before the regular season. Once we have a clear pick. Yes.
See if we reserve the right to change our minds at that time.
Yes, because
okay.
I'm sure once we get not even the preseason, but once we get a clearer message on how this team looks at training camp and stuff, then maybe we can lower our expectations a little more.
Or if Shedeur Sanders is starting week 1, we're going 17-0.
Yes. Like Ken told somebody on X earlier, don't be afraid and get locked in.
We'll be chanting Super Bowl, Super Browns before the season starts.
I already have the clip ready.
All right. All right, Jack. I appreciate hopping in here, talking about the schedule. We definitely want to work on more of these live shows. Be sure to comment, leave us your predictions for the Browns season this year. Let us know what you think the record is going to be. Let us know who you think is going to start week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Anything else schedule related that you wanted to discuss before we get out of here?
I just said this is going to be a tough start to the year. The fact that we play 3 NFC North teams right in a row, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, that's definitely going to test. And I hate to say it, but if they don't get off to a hot start, Anthony, you and I both know this, with the bye week being where it is, midway through, not only can we see a quarterback change, but depending on how the record goes, I would just say buckle up, Browns fans, because if it gets off to a bumpy start, you know what's going to come like right after that.
Are you saying we're gonna have December in Berea in October?
Depending on how the start goes, man, like, yeah, like I hate to say it, like because I already was talking about it with people, like talking about that schedule. Like, if the bye week was after the London game and our record was like 1-4, 1-5, or whatever it would be, like, yeah, it would not be very pretty around here, that's for sure.
How long before we get Coach Prime to Cleveland? Rumors, like what week you thinking?
I mean, we were having it last year towards the end of the season, but yeah, as soon as like you start hearing rumors and you might see like white smoke coming out of the Berea facility, like that's when you'll know, like, the first time he Anthony, the first time he makes a comment about Shador is like that's when it's like the orange alarms will start going off around here.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I don't
I
want to
don't
deal with that
either.
for the whole season. Like if that starts to pop up, we're just gonna go into full draft content and be done with it.
Oh, it'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. Be sure to give Jack a follow on X at Jack McCurry08. Be sure to give me a follow as well at Anthony Joki. Like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube. Definitely appreciate it. We're gonna get on out of here. We'll talk to you again shortly. We still have to finish reviewing up the draft class. I think the running backs is going to be the next thing that we're going to discuss here on our channel. So until next time, always remember, go Browns.
Go Browns.